gods and understanding them as principles. Proclus did that in one of his works called The Theology of Plato. Magnificent piece of work. And you can therefore structure them out, and they all fit into threes, mean analogies. And that's possible too. In other words, we stand on the verge if we decide to take the challenge, if our culture decides to take the challenge. Because the people that are doing the best work in Platonic thought today, who have a need to go back to this structure, are theoretical physicists, theoretical mathematicians, Roger Penrose, Gödel. That's where they're going. They call themselves Platonists because they've reached a very interesting point, you know. They've reached a very interesting point. The point where theoretical physics is reached is that the tools of investigating subatomic physics only allow experiments dealing with 10 to the minus 17th power. That is, you can explore things as small as 10 to the minus 17th or infer something about something at that level. And since they closed down that giant accelerator in Texas, you know, it cost $3 to $5 billion, they closed it down. It looks like we're not going to go any further. Maybe Europe will do it, but this is the limit of our explorations. But the subatomic particles that are most interesting, you see, are at the level of 10 to the minus 33 and 34. That is to say, the theoretical work that has been done about the smallest subatomic units are now being discussed at the range of 10 to the minus 33, 10 to the minus 34. That means 10 to 33 zeros over 1, right? This is the limit of technological exploration at this point. Therefore, theoretically, they're exploring this world. Now, how are they going to decide whether or not what they're thinking and what they're creating, how can you decide whether it can be considered truer than another view, since there's no technology at this point to verify competing theories? One principle is used: beauty. Beauty. Because when they go back and look at all the theories that have been successful, they had more elegance than those that did not. And the ones that had more elegance in them turned out to be more accurate, and that was a standard they could see over the past. If that standard could continually be applied, do you see what we're now considering to be the truth of the nature of reality? Beauty. What are the boys doing? A lot of interesting work, aren't they, on this subatomic level? And the latest work was, of course, they're now including the theories of deep space, black holes in space, and string theory, and putting the two of them together. The smallest things in the universe and the greatest things in the universe are now brought together in one unified theory. Which really means, when you go out in the interstellar concepts, astrophysics, you're going to 10 to the plus 33. So you're going, that's the full range of our speculation. Out into the heavens at 1033, in the subatomic world, minus 10 to the 33. Interesting symmetry, isn't it? How do you figure out which theory is going to work today? What do they use? Beauty. That's why superstring theory is considered to be a great innovation, because superstring theory posits a universe that has astonishing symmetry called supersymmetry, and that may be an indication that it's true. Therefore, at the core of our reality is beauty. Man's efforts as he moves are based upon beauty. The universe itself is structured in a highly fantastic, intellectual, intricate way, and the whole thing is a delight to behold and to get a vision of. Right? Therefore, if we can cultivate vision, you know where you're going? You're going to cross that bridge and get over here, because that's what all of these boys were doing. Going into the realm of the vision not by artificial means, but by the use of the mind itself. So my talk this evening is how to use Pseudo-Dionysius as a bridge.
I have a question. Was he a bit around with Proclus? Was there a possibility that Proclus was working?
The dates we have are what? Proclus said what?
470, and I think you said Dionysius was 529,
530.
530.
Go ahead, therefore,
So he could have been around. He could have.
since there's a
Overlap.
of 60 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
was just thinking that if Proclus was in some way helped in some way draw up that document, if there was any input from him, I think that's
Well,
probably the most concise document he's made, since he tends
Well, yeah,
to be
but-
very prolific.
Mhm. Yeah, his writings were treasured
Yes.
and passed around, so they played a big, major role when they went into the Arabic world. Just libera causa is what they called it, and it's quite an amazing piece of work. So,
But I meant in terms of conciseness.
yeah.
Oh.
Does the Hellenic tradition get into anything about the creation of the universe?
These people were more into a metaphysical creation. How to understand the universe generated as an intellectual. So over here, they're interested in how it's created physically. Over here, they're interested in seeing how to understand how this ever could have come into existence as a metaphysical system, as a theoretical system. So, while there is some interesting work on creation as a physical, it comes out of Plato's Timaeus and people who reflected on Plato's Timaeus. But most of the work we've done tonight is a metaphysical creation. That's what they deal with. Why, if you have this, you have to have this. If you have this, why do you have to have this? What's the relationship between the two of them? How do they interrelate? What other ideas must you bring in order to make it coherent? So to answer your question, primarily intellectual creation, as it were. They do have a physical side from the Timaeus, and there were many works written on the Timaeus, which has that aspect of it. I think that's our work. I think of all people in history, European, or present day, not just Europeans, now it's anybody who can play the game, of course. We're doing the most work in physical processes that must have started the Big Bang. This is history of time, etc.
Yeah, when you're getting into numbers like 10 to the minus 33, they're talking about it with respect to time, that they have to go back beyond where physics can even be used for describe, try to find the unified field in which the forces were all one, and they believe it's back there, but it's hard to...
Yeah. A universe of 25 dimensions. That's what they're theorizing in order to pull it together to one Big Bang, universe of 25 dimensions.
It's mind-boggling even. I mean, even with physics the way it is with the dark matter and
Black holes and quasars.
and how you can have a point of infinite mass and no size. I mean, it's just
A quark, no breadth, like a geometric line. Superstring, no breadth, but vast power to hold one another, interrelate, upon which ends are quarks.